Hey everybody. Today I want to tell you another fun story from my past. And like all these types of videos I'm going to be doing, I'm going to tell you things that happened to me and things that I experienced and things that you might find funny and or interesting or helpful on your musical journey. And like the other videos, I'm not going to read a script. I'm not going to do any editing. If you want fancy production, turn this off. Go sit in front of your TV and watch the professionals do it. All right, with that said, I want to tell you this cool story. Here I am. I'm holding my Gretsch Jet baritone guitar. This is somewhere between a guitar and a bass. But today's story is all about the first live gig I did playing the bass. Now, most of you know me as a guitar player, and that is my main instrument. But did you know Leo Fender invented the precision bass so that guitar players could make extra money playing the bass? And that's exactly what I do. I'm an electric bass player. I'm not an upright bass player. And I've done all kinds of recording playing the bass. I played bass on Linda Gail Lewis's one album, Hard Rockin' Woman. I've played bass on a lot of things. So, how did that happen? Well, it initially happened when I was a kid and I was recording in my basement. I needed a bass, so I bought a cheap bass. Horrible Sakova bass, it was called. But I never had any intentions of playing live. So I told you a story about the first gig I did in a bar. Well, this story takes place approximately 20 years later. I had made a career for myself, writing songs, playing guitars. I was in a band called the Reach Around Rodeo Clowns. We played all the major clubs on the Northeast, and we accomplished some really cool things. And this was right at the turn of the century, 1999. My first wife was in the process of leaving me, and she was dragging me all through town, running me through and throwing me under the buses. And I had a record label I was partners in that just went out of business, and a recording studio that was about to go out of business. But before the record label went out of business, I signed this great artist named Charlie Gracie to the label. And I kept Charlie when we went out of business. I decided that I was going to use that to launch my next endeavor, which was and did turn out to be Lanark Records. Anyways, me and Dave Ferreira, the drummer from the Reach Around Rodeo Clown, and Charlie got to work in the studio. And we worked really well together. We had a really tight thing going. Dave was playing drums, I was playing the bass, and Charlie was playing guitar and singing, of course. And right at my lowest point through my divorce and everything, I got a phone call from Charlie, and he says, "Hey," he said, "I just got a phone call from Van Morrison. Turns out Van Morrison's a huge Charlie Gracie fan, and he wanted to take Charlie on the road on his West Coast casino tour in 2000. And he called Charlie up personally and asked him to come on the road and said, 'You bring your own band and we'll take care of all your expenses.' And Charlie called me up and he wanted me and Dave to go along with him because he wanted a rock and roll younger band. So he said, 'Can you play the bass?' He calls me up and says, 'Can you play the bass?' And I said, 'Yes.' Like nobody's business. Now, keep in mind, I never played the bass live. Playing in the studio is one thing, but getting on and playing 10 songs in a row with no mistakes, I never did it. Not one gig. So he says, well, show up at the airport and we're going on tour. So I hung up the phone and I called my friend up and I asked if I could borrow his bass. He was a guy that owned a bass, but he didn't really play. So he gave me his Fender bass. And my first gig playing the bass guitar was in Reno, Nevada, in the Frank Sinatra room to a sold-out show. And the curtains getting ready to go up, and the announcer goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Van Morrison's very special guest, Charlie Gracie." And the curtain goes up, and there's thousands of people looking at me, and I turned to the drummer, and I said, "Hey, I've never played the bass at a gig before. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we went. And we had a great tour. It was really a lot of fun. Afterwards, Charlie gave me more work playing bass, and I'll tell you that story later. But here's the thing. Here's something I learned to do. Never say no. I always say yes. Yes, I can. Yes, I will. Yes, I can be there when it comes to music and gigs. And then I figure it out. And here's the thing. If you find yourself the best musician in the room, and if you're the best player in the room, you're in the wrong room. I've always tried to, for my whole career, be the guy that is the least accomplished in the room. And that way I can learn from other people. On this tour, I met all kinds of people, and I'll probably do another video about that because there's some funny stories because I didn't know who a lot of them were. I think one of the funniest ones is, I'll tell you real quick, is we were in Los Angeles, and I can't see out of this eye, and I'm standing backstage watching Van. We'd already did our set, Charlie did his set, and I'm standing there. There's all these celebrities in the audience that night. And I'm standing here looking at the stage. I'm in the wings, and I turn to my right. Right there is Eric Clapton, and right next to Eric is Robbie Robinson. I just go, hey, Eric, hi, Quentin Jones. I'm with Charlie Gracie. He goes, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Love Charlie Gracie. I said, you do? I said, would you like to meet him? He goes, yeah. I said, maybe you can get a picture with him. He goes, nah, I'm not interested in the pictures, but I would like to meet him. I said, all right. And I said, hey, go get Charlie. And Charlie comes over, and all Charlie's entourage comes over and said, hey, Charlie, this is Eric Clapton. Eric, Charlie Gracie. And what was funny, everybody started taking pictures and poor Eric just wanted to see the gig. And Charlie's standing there, everybody's smiling. I didn't get in the picture, but if you look at it, if you ever see a picture of Charlie Gracie and Eric Clapton, Robbie Robinson wasn't in the photo. If you ever see that, I'm the guy that introduced him. Me, from Lancaster. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that story. There's a lot more stories coming, and there's some really funny ones I want to tell you. But the moral of this story is, say yes. Yes, I'll be at the gig. When I was working for Peter Noon, I was doing some fill-in gigs because their guitar player couldn't do the gig. They used to call me up and says, what airport do you want to fly out of? I'd say, any airport. What time do you leave? Whenever you want. You have to get along, go along, learn your stuff, keep your mouth shut, eyes open, ears open, and learn some. All right. Hey, speaking of learning, I give guitar and bass lessons. If you're interested, get a hold of me. And we'll get you going on your musical journey. Talk to you next time. I'm going to turn this thing off now.